This episode is a video episode. You can catch it on our YouTube channel, Your Money DR. You're listening to or you're watching the Money Doctor Money Talk for Modern Entrepreneurs podcast. And you may notice I'm not in uniform today because today, for a few minutes, I want to talk about taxes. You're listening to the founder in CPA mode. That's what I call it when I go strictly into tax talk. And because we don't do taxes at the Money Doctor, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, especially since I know it's hard to grasp a lot of this stuff and you're listening. You don't have the visuals. You're not seeing the forms. It's challenging to go deep into it. But conceptually, here's what I want you to know. As of this recording, it's about mid to late February. You've probably gotten most of your tax forms in the mail. Those would be including W-2s, 1099s. Now, why does that matter? Because that's typically where the tax conversation begins. If you're someone who has already filed your taxes, you've gotten back a refund, you used a W-2 to do it, then you're an employee. Now, it's possible though, and this happens, where you had a side hustle, you had something on the side, and you didn't have taxes taken out of that income. It's possible you got a 1099 as well. And so that's what I want to hone in on this episode, is to talk about the differences. The W-2, you've got your withholding coming out. You've got your state withholding if you are in a state that has state income tax. Believe it or not, some places have local withholding as well. Back to those of you who've already filed or you're ready to file. It's probably because you're not going to be taking advantage of tax deductions. The accounting, if you will, for what happened with your money last year, pretty much all happened through your employer. And so that W-2 is the reporting of what your gross was versus your net, what came out for 401k benefits, other deductions that came out of that gross pay, not just taxes, those things you end up with your net pay. And so that's what the W-2 is doing. If you compare them side by side, and you can do this, go to irs.gov, you'll see the 1099, it's a lot less happening. 1099, you've got that one number, which is basically the entity who sent it to you, not your employer. The payer is saying, this is what we gave them. Now it's on you, entrepreneur, because now you just became an entrepreneur if you got one of those. It's on you to figure out what you owe in taxes, what your true net is. That's where those write-offs come in. Because just because you brought that in, you had costs associated with that, especially if you were operating as an independent contractor, entrepreneur, solopreneur, all these fancy names we've got that are non-employee. When you're that person, you need to take that extra time, look into filing an extension. If this is your first time hearing about this and you got that form, for sure you need more time so that we can work with you on the Money Doctor side, the accounting side, to help you put a system in place to work backwards to get those totals. Because as I told someone just recently, because I'm operating not just as a CPA, but as a money doctor, I'm not going to take a 1099, put it in the software, and give you a tax bill. We need to do a little bit of work, sometimes more work than normal. If it's multiple years, we need to do the work to get those deductions, because I know from a well-standing perspective, that's how you exercise your right to pay less tax. See what I'm getting at? The biggest thing I try to tell entrepreneurs is there's no such thing as tax season for you once you get in the business. It is all year long. Even if it's these quarterly estimated taxes, that's quarterly versus every paycheck money's coming out for the employee. For the business owner or contractor who's responsible for estimated taxes, you need to be on your own initiating and paying that quarterly. Do you see why it's my favorite way to operate? Because you've got a whole quarter to still use that money, but hopefully you've got it set aside if you need to make that estimated tax payment. And then you do the next one for the next quarter and the next one for the next quarter. That last one is due January of next year. So you've got all year to use that money. But again, responsibility comes with that. You need to have some records in place. And that's where the Money Doctor comes in. That's actually how the Money Doctor came about. And I became a CPA almost 25 years ago. So many entrepreneurs that I met, they weren't ready for the tax piece. They needed all the things to get ready. They needed the totals, they needed the organization, they needed systems set up, they needed to figure out what they even had to deduct. All of those things created the money doctor. So much of entrepreneurship is bigger than taxes. And so this podcast, even as we're in season 6, I'm going to be spending more time talking about all the things that we should be doing all year long, the mindset. Hope this gets you going. Hope you feel a little bit better that you're not on your own out there. I have a special playlist on YouTube, a special Instagram, M. Dillon CPA, just for this content. Resources are out there for you if you need them. What I will say is you can reach out to us anywhere that you're listening at Your Money DR. Just know if it's tax related, the Money Doctor team will be sending you right on over to the CPA side of the house. So if you know you have tax matters, and I'll put this in the show notes of this shorter episode, mdilloncpa.com. That will take you directly to me, not the team, Money Doctor team, to me. And we can begin that process of figuring out what your tax responsibilities are as an entrepreneur. It's so important. To whom much is given in the form of tax deductions, because we get a lot, much is required. And you've already heard me say that a couple times, but we're here, whether it's on the Money Doctor side or here on the CPA side, to help you figure it out. Okay? Reach out to us at any of the handles, M. Dillon CPA, here, Mildred Dillon, or the Money Doctor, Your Money DR. Subscribe to the podcast so you can get other episodes that we put out like this. And in the meantime, I'm going to say make it a great day, especially for your money. Mildred Dillon CPA, founder of the Money Doctor, signing off. The information presented on this podcast was for educational purposes only, not tax advice. Please consult with me or your own tax advisor for specifics related to your tax situation.